Everyone, we are back with the Performance Matters podcast. We are joined today by Coach David Kitchen. He is the head and CEO of Edge Leadership Academy. So make sure you guys tune into this one because we'll be talking a lot about leadership. Believe it or not, it's not just as simple as saying the words. First off, big shout out to our sponsor, Pete Method Photography. He's the premier sportsographer in the Niagara region. You can contact him at petemethodphotography@gmail.com and visit his website, petemethodphotography.com. So make sure you guys support local. Pete's an awesome guy, big fan of the show. All right, Dave Kitch. Quick background, right? Keep it brief. Who are you? What do you do? Break it down for me.
My guy, man. First off, fired up to be here. So Coach Kitch, David Kitchen, spent 10 years as a college strength coach and then flipped the script on everybody and turned into an entrepreneur. So went out on my own during the pandemic and launched Edge Leadership Academy, which basically the whole goal of that is to arm people with the skills that it takes to lead and win, like not just in athletics, but in life. And so started with athletics and then quickly realized that businesses were having the same problem. So we went to the business sector, and then we had individuals that were reaching out to us that wanted to just get better in life. And so we brought on an individual, built an individual sector for people as well. So I got that cooking, man. So we're all over the country working with high performers and anything from nonprofits to colleges to military. I mean, we do a little bit of everything in the leadership and personal development space. And then I'm also the founder of Edge Media Productions, which we were talking about off camera. Just rolled that out this summer. So I own a small media business as well, man. So I do a little bit of everything, brother.
Like you're the Arnold Schwarzenegger of strength and conditioning, eh?
I don't know about running for office, but I try to keep it interesting at least.
Yeah, all these different faucets, man. I love it. Let's dive into leadership thing because obviously being in athletics, being team cultures, all that kind of stuff. Leadership is always like a big talking point for a lot of coaches, and those intra-player conversations as well. Like, what do you think in your mind it means to be a leader? Like, how would you define that?
Super simple, man. I think we overcomplicate it. I think it's be somebody worth following, going somewhere worth going for a reason that matters. Like it's that simple, bro. Like we
That's
make it, we make it out to be like this super complex thing, and obviously there's nuance to it because it's human to human, right? But at the end of the day, like, are you somebody that people should follow? Are you going somewhere that's worth going? And are you going there for a reason that matters? Like, is it going to make the people around you better? And if you do those things, you're off and running, brother.
Yeah. No, it's always a big talking point because again, you're trying to create that team camaraderie. You're almost trying to like pinpoint if you're like work with the teams, at least we do. You're always trying to pinpoint like, okay, those people that kind of rise to the occasion, if you want to call it that, right? Like who are the people that tend to take control, take charge, and kind of put a game plan in place. So, and again, I think it gets caught up in buzzwords a lot. You know what I mean? I think people just kind of say the thing, without actually doing the things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't always know if it's leading from the front. I don't know if it's just saying the words. You know what I mean? So, based on your definition, like, what do you think? What are some qualities or some examples or pillars, if you will, of a leader? Like, if you're working with an athlete, where's like your starting point?
Character, first and foremost. Do they know who they are? Like, do they know? Like, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I know it's tough when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds or even like high school athletes. Like, they're still figuring it out, right? But at your core, like, do you know what you fight for in this world? What are the things that are important to you? Because that's going to dictate how you're going to lead. Like, what are your values? What's your value system? So I always start with character. And when I talk about character, I'm talking habits, I'm talking mindset, I'm talking social, their circle, their interactions, I'm talking their emotional regulation. Like, all those things fall into that character piece.
Yeah.
But once you know that, and so we'll think about it from a progression standpoint, right? Because I know we're strength coaches, so let's talk about the progression, right? So once you get your character down and you know who you are, you know how you behave, that allows you to then grow a level of consistency. You can show up as the same person and work the same way day after day after day. Why does that matter for leadership? Because as humans, we function off of pattern recognition. Like, our minds are built for patterns. We want people in our lives who are consistent. So if you know who you are and you show up consistently, people are probably going to start to gravitate towards you a little bit, right? And then once you're consistent, you're now able to commit to certain things because you built the consistency to actually achieve things, right? Like, so now I can say, hey, I'm going to commit to this big goal and I can go get it because I've built the consistency behind it. That shows people that, hey, this is a guy worth following because he's probably going to get there. Right. And so then at that point, you now flip the script and you can commit to the vision, which is where you're going. you commit to the people around you, and you commit to building the culture around you. And then when you do those things, you achieve great things, right? And then once you're able to be committed, now you can problem solve. So now, because along the way, there's going to be problems, right? And
Oh
so
yeah.
we got to be creative. We got to be problem solvers. And when I talk about that, it's not like solving problems just with me, but how do I KYP, right? How do I know my personnel and know who's around me and who has the right skill set to solve problems with me and put them in roles to be successful, right? And if we do that, then you're a creative leader. Leadership is that's like it's synonymous, right? Like when we talk about great businesses. Nobody says like, "Oh, Joe managed his company to a Fortune 500 status," right? Like no, they led, right? Like creativity and leadership are synonymous. And so then the last piece is just your ability to communicate, right? Like everybody knows that that's part of it, but that's honestly the last piece because now you can communicate the vision to new people. You can grow the tribe. You can bring the right people in. And so, yeah, it's those 5 things, man. It's character, consistency, commitment, creativity, and communication. Those are the things that I'm looking for.
Big pillars. Those are, hey, that's good. Those are some big rocks to focus on. I'm going to pinpoint a couple of them, but I find communication is like, I know it's like maybe the last pillar, but communication I think is one of the biggest highlights that we try to emphasize because again, it's not enough to just know it yourself if you're trying to help others or if you're trying to guide your team or guide your fellow players, right? Because everyone has a different way of responding to different feedback. You know, they everyone communicates differently. You have to kind of be a chameleon with that respect. I think people kind of get lost in that. They don't understand why someone cannot grasp what they're trying to say or what they're trying to, do. How can they guide them? So, like, how do you kind of help? Let's start at the beginning then. So, if we're going to the character reference first, what are some things you're doing to work on these pillars with each individual? Like, what are some things what are like some roadblocks to kind of achieve that step?
Yeah, clarity. First off, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Not just like not just in an athletic sense, but like, what do you want? Like, what does success look like to you? Mm-hmm. Let's get super, super clear on that because if you don't know it, then how can you communicate it to anybody else? Right? Like, and I think that's a question that as coaches we need to be asking our athletes. What does winning look like to you? Because it could look very, very different, right? And I learned that when I was at UNLV working with college athletes because we were in a situation where, yes, we were technically like big time Division I, right? We were at the show, but the majority of our roster was not going to the league, and so we had kids who success to them and winning to them looked like an NFL contract. And then we had kids whose success to them looked like just playing for 4 years. And then we had kids who it was, well, can I just graduate? And then there was kids that, can I get to the CFL? Right? So I think you got to get clear on, like, what does winning look like to you? Right? Yeah. And I think once you get that piece down, then it's teaching them to communicate that to the people around them, right? And so we have a rule. It's a simple little reminder that I try and teach people, which is a 10X rule. If it's important to you, it should be repeated 10 times in 10 different ways. Like, you need to be able to say, because, like, to your point, right, everybody doesn't communicate the same. So if you're a head coach and you're trying to talk to your kids about what winning looks like to us or what's important to us, you got to have 10 different ways to package that message because it's gonna hit differently for different kids. And so you have to be able to, and again, that's why I always say, like, ruthless clarity, because if you know the thing that clearly, you can say it in a million different ways. I mean, if you listen to the majority of my podcasts, the majority of my speaking engagements, I'm saying the same things. I'm just saying them in different ways, right? Yeah. So I think that's really, really what it comes down to is the clarity piece and just being honest with yourself, man. Like, tell the truth. Telling the truth is like, we're going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, man, because you told me I was allowed to do that.
Dive down the rabbit hole, man. See how far the rabbit hole. Yo, take the red pill, bro.
Bro, telling the truth, for all your listeners, is the biggest cheat code to being successful in life. Just tell the damn truth. Like, if it's uncomfortable, tell the truth. Be honest with yourself, because there's so many people out there that lie to themselves about what they want, and then they lie to the world about what they want. Like, dude, if you don't want to be great, just say that. That's okay. The world needs ditch diggers too. There's nothing wrong with you, bro. There's nothing wrong with you. But don't lie to me and tell me you want to be great. Like, that drives me up a wall, man. Like, just tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Oh, shit. Yo, the world needs ditch diggers.
I mean, I'm just being honest with you, man. Like,
that's right, yo. Take your own medicine, bro.
Yeah,
be honest.
Like, just be straight. It's okay. I'm not better than you. I'm not worse than you. You know what I mean? But like, lying to the world about that and not being clear about that is is why there's so many people that are discontent with their lives, whether they're athletes or adults or whatever. Like,
Yeah, anybody.
because you're creating incongruence. You're saying, you know what I mean? It's like if I said I wanted to jump higher and then I came in every day and all I did was bench press and curls. You know what I mean? Like it's the same, and then I get mad because I don't jump higher and I blame it on the world. Like, what are we talking about? You know, inputs equal outputs, man. You got to make sure you're clear on what you're trying to get done.
Damn, fucking the honesty piece. That's crazy. You're not wrong though, man. Like it can't. It sounds simple. I didn't say it was easy, but it sounds simple. And I think a lot of people, you're right. They struggle with that. And I think maybe it's because they get caught up in what they should feel they should want.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I'm on this team, or I do this sport, or like you could be like a 14-year-old and say, well, the goal of everyone is to get a scholarship for from college. It's like, well, the goal is now go pro. It's like, is that something you really want? And then I guess the other flip side of that coin is like, well, how can you tell somebody, or how would you, in your experience, know if that's even possible? Like, is it realistic?
Mm-hmm.
That's the other tough piece. I'm never gonna shun someone's goal or some dream, because again, if that's what their goal is, and you can try to do everything you can to get as close to the mark as possible, but there has to be like a sense of like, okay, is this realistic? Like, do you know what these guys or girls are doing? Like, what's their builds? What are their abilities? And how do you kind of line up with that? And what do you know what they're those scouts are looking for?
Yeah.
How do those conversations go?
Man, they're tough. I'll be honest with you, man. So I heard you want to know the most brutal one I've ever heard. There was this is terrible, but there was a kid, and this was not me. I didn't say this. Another coach.
No, someone else did this shit. That wasn't me. I swear.
Someone else did this, but I was there. There was a kid, and he was trying to do a drill, and he just couldn't do it. I mean, it was outside his skill set, and he like got all flustered, and he took his helmet off, and he looked at the coach, and the coach looks at him, put his hand on his shoulder, and goes, "It's not your fault. Somebody lied to you." Somebody told you were a Division I athlete. Not your fault.
Yo, that's crazy.
And I was just like, wow.
That's so, that is
so
gutless.
Dude, calm as could be. It's not your fault, son. Somebody lied to you.
Oh, that's so whack.
Wow. No, but I think when you're having those conversations, right, I do think there's a balance, because I think you're so spot on. I will never tell somebody that something is unrealistic. Like, I think being realistic is the fastest track to mediocrity. So, like, if you want to go after it, that's fine. But I think, to your point, you got to be clear about what it costs, right? So, like, sit down and, like, write out, like, okay, you want to make it, you want to be a pro soccer player? Okay, what are all the things that you would need to stop doing today? And what are all the things that you would need to start doing today? Are you willing to do those things? Plain and simple. Yes or no? Right? Not like yes and not kind of, no, yes or no, right? Are you willing to sleep? Make sure, prioritize your sleep, 8.5 to 9 hours a night, every single night. Are you willing to plan every single meal and not miss a meal? Yes or no? Are you willing to not miss a training session for the next 365 days in a row? You're doing something, not necessarily training hard, but you're doing something, whether that's dedicated recovery, whatever. Are you willing to watch tape? Probably 4 to 5 hours a day, because you're not physically as gifted as the other guys. Like, those are the things. Like, if you want to be unrealistic, that's fine, right? Like, I was unrealistic when I started my business, right? I didn't have a business background. So that meant that I had to do things that maybe other business owners didn't have to do. Like, I had to go on YouTube University and study the basics of a P&L sheet, and the basics of how to run accounting, and the basics of marketing, and all these, like, okay, but those are the things that I had to do. If I was going to be unrealistic in my goal, then I have to be unrealistic in my pursuit as well, right? And that's where you see those diamonds in the rough, right? Because when we see those guys, and this is what happens, we get seduced by the story. Like, we get seduced by, like, a guy that made it from nothing, and if he can make it, I can make it. Okay, what did that guy do? What did what did his day-to-day look like for how long, right? Like, there's a guy that has a quote. His name's Ben Newman, and he talks about long obedience in the same direction past the point of convenience. Like, that's what it takes to do that. If you want to be a diamond in the rough, long obedience in the same direction with aggressive patience past the point of convenience.
So, in other words, it's just suffer.
Suffer, yeah. Are you willing to suffer? Like, and I think again, it's okay if you're not. I don't want to discourage people or sound like I'm being mean, but at the
No,
same time, like,
it's truth. It
it's
is truth.
okay. It's
Not
okay.
everyone can be elite. Not everyone
No.
can. There's a
And
reason they're
we
called elite.
throw that word around, bro.
Oh
I
God, it's
hate
another
it's
buzzword.
lost its meaning. It's lost
Yep.
its meaning. Like people are like, this is elite. This is no elite. Like it for most people, for the vast majority of people. I just said this to someone else. I wish that we could take general population human beings, people that haven't seen it, and drop them in like an NFL training camp for like just like a day, or like a Division 1 weight room for like a day, and just have you see like this is what, or around an Olympian training, like whatever the arena is, see what elite looks like, and then ask yourself again: do I want that? Two, am I capable of that? Three, did I even understand what elite meant beforehand? Because odds are you didn't. Like I'm very fortunate in my life to have been around special forces, Super Bowl champions, whatever, and like I see it, I know what it looks like, and it's like for most people, what you're imagining, that's not what elite looks like. Like it's even further into the darkness, right? It's like what's that quote? Like if you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss starts to stare back. Like that's
Yeah.
what elite is. Like
Yeah.
these dudes are walking, these guys and these girls are walking a razor thin line between like antisocial, like psychotic obsession and productivity and performance. Like it's a very very thin line, and you do see people go over it sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. But that needs to be said. It needs to be said. It needs to be heard because you're right. Like, how do you define elite? Because everyone likes, again, it's like you said, it's a very common word. Everyone likes the idea. It's very romanticized.
Yep.
It's very romantic, and I've said this on multiple podcasts before, and we've chopped up a billion times, me and Miles on this too. But I think everyone gets caught up in the like sunset thing, but they don't realize that the road to get to that close to that horizon, you don't even know where there's a hill. You don't even see where the road ends. You literally have to look down and you have to build this road from blood, sweat, piss, shit, and tears every fucking day with no certainty that you're actually going to hit the horizon.
Yes. Yep.
It's so romantic, but everyone sees it and think, oh, okay, that's great. But it's like, no, but you have to actually build the road to get over there.
Yep.
And how do you define building the road? Because like these guys have been building the road. Like, what's your you a bricklayer or are you the guy that's fucking sitting there trying to paint lines in the sand here, man? Like we gotta fucking.
I love that. I love that.
You know what I mean? Like
So true, man. And that's where the habits and the other stuff comes in. Because again, poking holes in some of the theories out there, like talent, when you get to that point, when we're talking good, great, elite, right? Everybody's talented. That's just the truth. Everybody's talented. So when you talk about good to great, it's not talent at that point. It's other things, right? And then when you talk about from great to elite, it's not talent and it's not hard work. Because everybody's working hard. If you're great, everybody's working hard at that level. Like I was just talking to, we just had a camp together. Jari Evans, Super Bowl champion, 6-time All-Pro. He'll be a Hall of Famer. Jersey will be retired in New Orleans. Like this dude was the guy in New Orleans for like 8 years. And we were talking about it, and I said, what's the difference at the top? And he goes, bro, everybody's great and everybody works hard. Like that's the truth. Everybody does. So at that point, you're no longer, and this is where people it messes them up mentally because you're no longer being celebrated.
yeah, you're not special.
You're not special anymore.
You're not special anymore.
like it's now the price of admission just to stay in the game.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the cover. That's cover now, boy.
that's the cover charge, and that's what he was saying. I was asking him about like later in his career. Like I was like, how'd you keep going? Like after you won a Super Bowl, after you've already done these things, and like every year, everybody else in that organization, their job is to find someone better than you for cheaper. That's their job at the pro level. So I was like, how did you kind of do it? And he's like, honestly, man, like I thought about the fact that every single year I have to work harder than I did the year before. Even though last year I might have been an all-pro, might have been, whatever. I got to work harder than I ever have before, and that's just to stay on the roster. That doesn't guarantee that I'm going to have a better season. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that's what we're talking about when you talk about romanticizing things. Like,
Yeah.
it's like we used to tell our teams all the time, man, the reward for hard work is more work. That's
Yeah.
it. The margin for error just gets thinner. That's all it is. Like, so it becomes the other things. It becomes the other 23 hours, right? Of can you, again, can you dial your habits in? Like, everything matters, Like, we talked about, and this is something I just had a conversation about before. What got me to a 400-pound deadlift, right, is the fact that I'm 5'10" with long arms. Wasn't that hard. Show up. Eventually it's going to happen, right? I was a bigger dude. Like, eventually it was going to happen. What got me to 4 to 5 was now I had to program, right? And I had to make sure I was following an intentional program. What got me to 5 to 6? Everything started to matter. What got me above 6? Every single detail mattered. Sleep, nutrition, hydration, time of day that I was training, the humidity in the freaking weight room. Like, everything mattered at that point. So it's like you have to understand that the higher you go, the smaller the talent gap gets, and the more the other 23 hours matter. Like, not the performance itself, it's everything else that you're doing. It's the influences that you're taking in. It's what are you watching on TV. It's who are you listening to. It's who are you spending your time with. It's all that stuff, man. Everything matters.
Yeah, that needs to be fucking resonated to every goddamn teenage athlete, youth athlete, and parent.
Mm-hmm.
Parents need to hear that shit and understand it. Honestly, trust me, we have a lot of young kids, a lot of awesome kids, right? And we have obviously don't have parents. Everyone thinks their kid is special. Everyone thinks their kid is fucking special, right? Great kids, right? But at some point, you're like, there has to be an understanding of what it's going to take to get them to where they think they're going to be.
Yep.
And like you said, it's clarity. It's like, what do you think that means? What do you think that looks like? Because again, like you said, hey, you're tall, you're 6'3", and you're 13 years old. Great, you're going to be good at basketball, or you'll be good at volleyball, just because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go to, let's say a club team, or for us, like Team Ontario, whatever it is, now everyone's tall. So what's that difference for you now? Okay, now you want to get a scholarship. We're getting everyone's tall and working hard. What does that look like now to start? Like, you're right. The layers get stacked on to what you should be doing. Those things will start to matter more and more intently. So it's like we really have to be very clear on what's your idea of success look like? What's your idea, what does that look like for you? What do you think it looks like? Do you actually know what it looks like? Okay, well, we have to get, so we like to differentiate. It's like you don't know what you don't know. It's like, okay, you're either naive or you're ignorant. Naive being you don't know what you don't know. Ignorance is you know but choose not to. It's like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, we gotta like, take the red pill a little bit here and exit the matrix.
Yes, yeah. and it's exposure, right? To your point, like, it's exposure.
Huge.
So if you're a parent, like, here's a little cheat code for parents. If you're a parent of a kid and you think that your Johnny or Billy or whatever his name is going to be the next big thing, then listen, you don't even have to necessarily take him, but you and your significant other should go watch that level that you think your kid's going to play at. And talk to the parents of those kids, talk to those players, ask them what their day-to-day looks like, and then get really, really clear on, like, are we willing and able to provide an environment to where we can expose him to these types of things and these types of routines, and are we willing and able to set a level of discipline in our household that will allow him to achieve those things? Because the other thing is, you think because your kid is talented that you now have the illusion of choice. Of, like, now you can, like, choose all the, like, oh, we don't like this coach, we're going to... No. You got to find the best, and you got to expose him to the best, because that's what it takes, right? So, like, it's that part, too, where, again, that's where, like, the people that you are around matter so much. And, again, for a kid, you don't get to choose your parents, right? But for adults that are disillusioned still, like, it's... You got to expose yourself to it, man. You have to expose yourself to the truth. Like, some of the best things that have ever happened to me from a physical training standpoint, I trained with a former first-round NFL draft pick, and I trained with a 242 world record holder powerlifter. Two of the most humbling training sessions of my life, right? But I was exposed to it. I got to see it, right? And it also set me straight, because at that point, like, I was getting stronger, and I was like, oh, maybe. And then you see that, and you're like, nope. That's a different gene pool. That's not real. Now, does that mean that I can't go be great in my own right? No. It just means that I got to adjust the target a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's like you think we have a saying here too. It's like everyone thinks they've been training until they start training.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like, we have kids that come from all sorts of places. Say, oh yeah, I've been in the weight room. Da 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 da. Okay, so you have training experience. You say I have training experience, and that's fine. Good initiative. But then you think you've been training. Yep. Then you start training. You're like, oh.
This is what and you don't know until you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
You don't know what you don't know.
They don't know what they don't know, and all of a sudden, like I said, they take the red pill. They're like, okay, I get it. I'm behind. I need to be okay. This is what this looks like. You're like, good. So now you have a choice. What are you gonna do?
Dude, one of the most important conversations of my life came from a mentor of mine. His name's Sean Manuel. Sean played for the 49ers during like the Bill Walsh days. Like he played with Steve Young, Jerry Rice, all those guys. And he was my boss at UNLV. And like 2 days into it, man, he pulled me aside and he was like, "You have a decision to make." And I was like, okay, I've been here 2 days. Like, what decision could I possibly have to make in 2 days? And he's like, you can either become who you're meant to be, or you can keep operating at the level you are right now, and you can try and lie to yourself and say that you're being great. And I was like, dude, I thought I was doing a really good job. Like, I've been here 48 hours. I thought I was doing great, right? But over time, we got to talking, and we used to talk about just culture and greatness all the time. And he was telling me about, he went through that, right, where you think you're training. Like, he thought he was training hard, and then he got around Jerry Rice. And then he, you know what I mean? And it was like, no, I wasn't training hard at all, right? And and even from a cultural standpoint, from a sports team standpoint, like, the way that the 49ers organization ran their organization, like, everybody had the same set of standards, from the doorman and the janitor to the cooks and the chefs to the athletic trainers to the coaches. Like, everybody got a manual of greatness, and it was like, these are the things that we do. And you get to a point where once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? And that, for me, being around him and hearing those conversations and having those conversations, it then all connected the dots. It was like, oh, that's why this guy left the NFL and became a high school coach and won 10 straight state championships, because those things transfer, like those skills and that ability to, what it's supposed to look like, right? And so that then allowed me to step into the rest of my career, where I was able to bring what I saw and say, okay, I know what great looks like. I know what the level of detail is that's required to be successful, and the level of effort. And so I can apply that to my staff moving forward. I can now apply that to my business. I can now apply that to, the new business that I just built. Like I can, you know what I mean? Those things transfer. You talk about transferable skills. Like, that's a transferable skill. But the only way to do it is to be willing to have the conversation, be willing to expose yourself to that level of performance, that level of culture, that level of expectation. And then he used to always say to me, like, when I would get frustrated or whatever, he'd always say, sit in the pressure and let it do its work. Don't get out prematurely. And that's what we do as humans. We get out prematurely. We you know what I mean?
We don't like discomfort.
Yeah, we don't like it. We want to just a little bit. And it's not saying that we completely move off the X, but we find just a skosh of comfort. And it's like, no, can you sit in it with your chest ripped open and just take the heat and just let it do its work? And then, because when you do, you're going to be so proud of the person that you are, and now you can take those skills and make other people around you better. Like, I know I'm giving a monologue right now, but it fires me up, man.
Yeah, that's fired me up, man. Fuck. Let's go throw some shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, let's go back, dude. Let's get it.
Let's go fucking drink something.
You need that in your life, man. You need that in your life.
Yo, you do. Like,
dude, I'm sweating.
Yeah,
now.
I know.
Got me fired up.
We're no longer competing anymore, man. You gotta feel alive once in a while. You know what I mean? You gotta feel alive. I gotta feel. I need to feel something again. Someone fucking hit me. Some fucking punch in the face. I gotta feel alive. I can take the heat, damn it. Fucking ripping it go.
Jesus.
So that, would you say like the messaging is the same now for coaches? So again, you have the athletes, we just have those conversations. Mm-hmm. What's the messaging for like the coaches look like? If they're trying to create a winning culture now, they're trying to become leadership and create vision and everything else like that, so they can have those, let's say those athletes are now stacking those pillars you just talked about. What's the conversations look like from the coaching end?
Yeah, it's got to be, again, clarity of expectations, right? What does winning look like? But then it's also, and I think we've established that neither of us are kumbaya guys, so I can say this.
Yeah,
I can say this safely.
Yeah, I'm not a bonfire man, bro.
Yeah. So I think I can say this safely. It's creating an environment of safety and trust, right? And I think, given our conversation, we've established where that threshold of safety is. Like, safety does not mean that I'm making you feel good. Safety just means that I'm safe. Like,
that people get that confused.
Dude,
people get that confused.
Big time.
Like, it's just like people say, "Oh, it's unsafe." It's like, hold on. Like, no. The definition of safety is physical harm. Like, no. There's no harm
There's
here.
no harm here.
Right? You just don't like the answer. You can respect it's the answer though. You just don't
Yeah.
like the answer. The answer makes
Exactly.
you uncomfortable for whatever reason or the other.
That's what I was
Like,
just gonna say.
You're not in danger, motherfucker. You just don't like the fucking answer. No is an answer. You suck as an answer. Like, it's fucking. Not saying you'd say you suck, but just say, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but that's the truth though, right? It's like, can I create an environment of safety and trust where to take it back to your point right there, like, I know me and you have been friends for 10 years. I know that you care about me enough that if you say something, I assume positive intent. So if you called me and you were like, Kitch, listen, that episode that we just recorded was awful and I will never record it. It will never see the light of day. I'm not going to take that personally. I'm going to take that as feedback, and I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, you can now have conversations.
yeah, now we can be constructive. We can break it down.
Right. Because I'm no longer, there's a difference between hearing and listening. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's what, when you create that environment of trust and safety, where it's like, we know that everybody in this room is going in the same direction. We know that we're all paddling the boat in the same direction. We know that there's a level of respect and love that we all have for each other. Right? Where we don't have to worry about like all the time. I don't have to care if you like me, because I know that you love me and I know that you respect me and you know that I love and respect you. And so that allows me now to have the green light to say the things that we need to say in order for us to be successful. Right? And so that's as coaches, that's what you have to create. But how do you create that? You create that by allowing people to have conversations. You have to be, and again, people call them soft skills. They're not soft. All right, they're people skills. It's the ability to be a leader of people. Can you be an empathetic listener? Okay, empathy means I can feel what you're feeling. Doesn't mean I agree with you.
Yep.
Okay? But I can feel what you're feeling. All right, just by feeling it is enough. You don't have to agree. Right? Consensus does not require everybody to agree. Like, it just means we just got to go in this direction. Okay, so it's your ability to be an empathetic listener. It's your ability to model and display the things as a coach that you want your players to model and display, right? And create environments where those things matter. So how do we do that? We have to score behaviors, right? We got to be honest and open with our guys and our girls. Like, if these are our values, right? So, perfect example. If one of your values as a team is tough, okay, if I talk to your kids on your team, I better be able to ask them, what does being tough look like in the locker room? And they should be able to give me an answer. What does being tough look like on the practice field or on the practice court? They should be able to give me an answer. What does tough look like on game day? What does tough look like in the community? What does tough look like in the classroom? Like, you got to take those values from just words on a wall and actually operationalize them. Like, you got to give the kids things to eat and things to feed off of that they can then build, and then you score it. And you celebrate it, right? You praise the process of kids doing it. That's how you start to build that culture, right? That's how you get to that point. But it all starts with your kids got to know and be able. It doesn't work if people in your culture are not assuming positive intent. If people in your culture they don't trust each other and they're assuming negative intent, all this stuff goes out the window.
Safety and trust. How do you? Because again, we've had these. This is not uncommon. Mm-hmm. This is not uncommon, especially with, again, younger athletes, stuff like that. You're trying to teach them skills. And again, you're trying to prepare them for if this is something they want to do, if they want to get to college or they want to do whatever, national team, whatever. There has to be an understanding of, like, this is what it's going to look like, it's going to take. Yes, we're trying to create safety and trust. But again, let's define safety, let's define trust, and let's not muddle the water here a little bit, right? It goes back to, like, you don't have to like the answer, but respect it's the answer, right? If you cannot if you can't handle criticism or handle feedback, or if you can't handle coach, like, get mad and being like, I didn't like that, like, I'm not happy with that, like, this is not good. Mm-hmm. If you take that personally,
it's an issue. That's an issue.
It's a huge issue. It's a huge issue, right? Like.
Yeah, and when you're taking, now again, we also have to be clear. Like, there's a difference between bullying and coaching, right?
Absolutely.
And I think we need to be aware of that too. But I do think too, like, when you're on the receiving end, you have to understand that in certain circumstances, there isn't time for anything else except clarity. That's just it. I don't have time to fluff this sentence up. and make it softer so it lands softer. I just need you to do XYZ. I need you to do an XYZ timeline, and I need it now. Right? Like that, like that's just the reality of the situation sometimes. So I tell people, like, no matter what you hear, no matter what the words are that I'm saying, what you should hear from somebody when they're criticizing you or giving you feedback, critical feedback, should be, we have high standards here. I believe you can reach those standards. In order to reach those standards, I need you to do X, Y, Z. I need you to do it in the following timeline. What resources do you need from me? Now, that paragraph that I just said could come out as, you need to go harder and I need you to work this drill, or that drill sucked, right? Like that might be what it comes out as. But what you should hear, because of the pre-existing psychological safety and trust, the fact that you've built a rapport, the fact that you've built a connection there, positive intent, you should hear, oh, he has high standards, this team has high standards, they want me to be part of the success that they're having. In order to do that, I need to get better. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you got to be able to translate the message as it's coming in. But so many times we get so caught up in, like, verbiage and, like,
Oh, boy.
you know what I mean? And I'm like, dude, I just, it's sometimes, and honestly, sometimes this is where I even struggle doing what I do now, because sometimes I lose compassion for it, because I'm like, listen, get over it. You know what I mean? Like, we're here to win. We're not here to feel good all the time. We're here to win.
Yep.
And sometimes winning requires a sharp edge. You know, again, there's a difference between bullying and critical feedback. Like, I do think that that's very important to be clear about. But some of the things that we categorize as, like you said earlier, like made me uncomfortable, or did this like, come on, get over it. Get over it. Hear the message, take the feedback, apply it, get better.
Yeah, message versus tone. Like, you don't like the tone, but there's a message there. Like, hear the message, not the tone. If you get stuck up on the tone and the verbiage, then this is honestly, we have a different issue to worry about.
Yeah, like, it's a deeper issue. It's not about performance anymore.
Yeah, now we have a deeper issue to worry about. Like, okay, we got to cross that bridge now and figure this out.
Yep.
Right? At the same time, I'm just like, this is not a good fit. That's fine too. It's like, this is just not a good fit for you. You know what I mean? Like, this is what this team is about.
Right.
And if you can't handle that, no harm, no foul. Like, do what you got to do.
Right.
I mean, there's an opportunity to learn and get better.
Yes.
Right. You have to like it, but there's an opportunity. What do you want to do with it?
Well, and being able to understand too, like, there's a difference between the types of conflict that we go through, right? So, like, if somebody's giving me critical feedback or somebody's disagreeing with something, there's task conflict, which is like, I disagree with what you're doing specifically. There's process conflict, which is like, I disagree with how you're doing this thing. And then there's personal conflict, which is like, I disagree with, like, your constitution. Like, I disagree with, like, what you're bringing to the table as a human right now, right? So you got to be able to go through and again, translate those things. Like, 9 times out of 10, it's a task or a process issue. It's not a personal issue. We make it a personal issue, right? We take it and we run with it and we say, oh, that made me feel this way. Well, like, here's the truth. Like, a lot of feedback is like whiskey, right? It's the truth is like whiskey. Like, it's best taken straight and it burns like hell on the way down. Like, that's it. If it hurt your feelings, there's probably a little tinge of truth to it, and that's why it hurt. So take it, apply it, get better.
Yeah. No, again, you're right. I think people start to muddle, right? Like you said, task, process, personal. They really just jump a step.
Yes, always.
Like, I think it's very common now. People, like, they're looking for that. I think it just makes, I don't know what it is. I don't want to say it's a generational thing. I just noticed that it's very, people can call it soft, they can call it whatever, but it's true. They take something that there's a, scrutiny is not bigotry. So I think it's separate those two things, but they always think it's very easy to muddle it and be like, well, it's being said because of this, blah, it's that person, da, 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 da. And you're just like, what do you think we're trying to do here?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what do you think we're trying to do here?
That's the cultural piece, right? Is like, if you have that safety and trust. Listen, some of the best teams that I've been around have said some of the most pointed, what others would say ruthless things to each other in order to get goals achieved, right? Like, and it wasn't said in a negative manner, and the other teammate knew that. They knew that they assumed positive intent because we were all rowing the boat in the same direction. And so we were able to just let it rip. You just say what you need to say. Like, it doesn't matter. We're not going to take it personally. Like, we had a rule. So this was a championship team that I was a part of. The rule was best possible solution, no residual effects, minimal amount of time. That was the team rule. Whatever that meant is what we did. Like, that was it, right? And that team was so radically honest with each other. I mean, it was unbelievable the amount of accountability that was present in that culture because people put their feelings aside for the good of the mission, for the good of the fact that we were trying to win a championship and by the end of the season, those guys are like brothers. They still are 5, 6, 7 years later. Like that's the thing that happens. You know what I mean? But it goes back to, like you said, like we can't muddle definitions and we can't protect our ego, and I think that's a big part of it as well, right? Huge. And that's, you got to get past that. And when we talk about leadership, right, you have to get to a point where you can get past that and you can hear it. Because if you're a leader, here's the other part, guys, is for all the leaders out there listening, you're not above any of this. You should be wanting to be held accountable to that level too. Like that's when you really got something special, right? When the leader can be held accountable and wants to be held accountable and craves accountability. Like, give it to me straight, no chaser. Like, that's real leadership, right? It doesn't mean your people slam you and bash you, right? But behind closed doors, give it to me straight, bro. You earned that. You're part of this family. Let it rip. You know, I used to tell my captains all the time, like, you've earned the right to have a seat at the table at this point. You are a leader. You are a captain of this program. You got something to say to me as a coach, you come in my office, you close the door, and you can cuss me up and down. That's fine. But when we walk out of here, we are two brothers, and we are in front of this team, and we are singing the same song. And that worked, right? Now, again, does that work for everybody? I don't know, but it works.
Yeah, but again, those things are proven, and at the highest levels, that's usually how it works.
Yeah.
So again, if nothing else, you could say, well, there's a history here of those conversations happening. Like, it really is just having conversations, not being afraid to have the conversation, and not pointing fingers and not doing this. It's like, shit happens. Shit goes wrong. I'm sure there's always a better way to do certain things. But it's like, what do you want to do about it? Yep. Are you going to sit there, talk shit, and blame everyone else? Or are you going to say, okay, let's have a conversation. Sit down and have a conversation. That's something we always try to help our athletes do. It's like, you're going to have, like, again, these things are happening younger and younger now where, like, people are getting recruited, different leagues, whatever. It's like, you're essentially talking with adults that are making you a business, essentially. You have to prepare to have adult conversations, constructive conversations, hard conversations, quantifiable, objective conversations, right? Like, and you have to be able to validate all those things in order for them to, present an opportunity to you.
Right.
If you cannot have those conversations, it goes back to the communication thing. I like to say that how you communicate is a direct reflection of your intelligence, because you can have the answer, and if you're unable to articulate how to get the answer again, it's like reading a book that has the answer to solve a math problem. Right? They literally took their knowledge, they wrote out the process. It's your job to interpret, translate, and apply. So it's like, if you can't communicate what you want done appropriately for the situation, then it's a two-way street here. You know what I mean? Like, A, are you talking to the wrong person, or B, are you talking wrong? Or you could be better at talking it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it goes back to that communication piece where it's like, you're going to have to be able to talk to professionals and higher ups in authority in a certain way, with a certain tone, a certain whatever, in order for them to present an opportunity. If you can't handle that or prepared for that, like,
you got to know what you're walking into. You got to know what you're walking into. Like, and I think that's an important distinction as well, right? Is understand, like, what do I want out of this situation? You know what I mean? Like to your point about, like, I want to be a part of this organization, or I want to be a part of this. Okay, well, that requires me to then build the skills to be able to operate in this arena, right? Which is having those hard conversations, and building my conversational skills too, like of being able to, all the things we said earlier, read between the lines, get over the tone, like all the other things that go on, and be able to sit in that pressure and deal with it, I think is an important concept. But at the end of the day, like, the better communicator you are, the more doors will open for you in life. Right. And part of it is being able to adjust your tone up and down, but also part of it is being able to back what you say with your actions. Right. So how you carry yourself, how you act, how you approach situations, things like that. That sets a big tone too, right? Like if you're gonna have those hard conversations, right? It's being able to come at them from a place where people can look at your history and say, okay, this was a blip on the map, right? If you don't handle it correctly, or they can look at it and say, okay, this person, there's credibility here to what this person is telling me. Like, so to your point of like, maybe you're with the wrong person, right? Is like figuring out, does this person have a track record of making other people successful? Right, like those types of things, and I think those are things that we have to look at too. And I'm kind of switching gears here, but this got me thinking about with the recruiting stuff too. Like with our kids, it's like you got to look at the type of person that the coach is and the program is. Like, well, do they have a track record of making people better humans when they leave? Forget volleyball, basketball, whatever. Like, do the people leave here damaged? Because if they do I really want my kid to go through that just because it's the #1 travel team in the country? Like, figure it out, you know what I mean? Because again, there's that line between coaching and bullying, because there is such a thing from a culture standpoint of what I call the animal kingdom, right? There is a point where your culture can turn into the animal kingdom, where the only thing that is respected or tolerated, or the only thing that is respected or rewarded is performance. And that's not healthy either. Like, that's too far to the other side. You know what I mean? So I think you got to be aware of that too, of like, what type of environment am I getting into? Because when you get to that point, remember I said character was the first and most important pillar. If you start ignoring character for talent, it erodes everything else. Like it just does. The inmates run the asylum at that point. And people don't survive it, or they leave it and they leave it damaged. Like, and you see this a lot with like top programs, where they're so desperate to stay at the top that they start sacrificing character for talent. And it's like, can we just continue to get through results? And then it doesn't last. Like, eventually it blows up, because you start to bring in guys and girls that just don't reflect what you built this thing on. You built it the right way. It got to this point, and then you thought because it was already built to that point, you could take your eye off of that culture piece and you could focus just on the talent piece. And then all of a sudden you got a problem on your hands.
Yeah, no, it is a fine line for sure. Like, when it comes to the performance side of things on that, I think it's important. It's like, those things are all outcomes. Performance things are outcomes. So it's like, what are the low-hanging skills that we could all do and keep accountable to those things? Like, simple things like being on time. You know what I mean?
No talent,
paying attention.
Bro.
Yeah, those things are like low-hanging fruits that we're not dictating on, like, how many wins you got on this, what was your PR on that, or your time, or you have to be the best of these things. Like, those are all outcome things. Like, these other things we can hang our hats on that we're all capable of achieving. Mm-hmm. These are low risk, low talent skills that we could all do. You know what I mean?
And they never go out of style.
Never go out of style. You know what I mean? It's like fucking blue jeans, man. Not going anywhere,
brother. That's it. Listen, and you would be surprised how far ahead in life you would get by just doing that little stuff, like being on time, asking right questions, being coachable, like having a great attitude. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was. I remember when you came down to visit, man. What did you say? What did you tell my assistant?
Well, attitude dictates effort, dictates outcomes?
Yeah, no, you said something. All you got to bring, what did you say?
Get the car keys and a positive attitude, buddy.
Yeah, car keys and a positive attitude.
Get your car keys and a positive attitude. You'll got the rest.
That was unbelievable. Like, to me, I was just like, that's kind of a bar, though. Like, that,
you know what I mean? Ironically, we're heading to one.
Yeah.
What do I need? Do I have everything? You got your car keys and a positive attitude. That's all we need, boys. We're out.
Good. Let's go. Let's roll. That's so true, though, right? Like, your ability. Because, again, they're things that you can control, right? They're things that are actually in your influence. And we spend so much time as humans trying to predict or trying to go back to the past or trying to, worry about things that aren't in our influence. Like, dude, win the 6-inch war. Like win the 6 inches between your ears first. Like, you know what I mean? Take care of that stuff. And then everything else takes care of itself. Like, one of the exercises I love doing with people, especially like my one-on-one coaching clients now, they might come to me and again, these are guys that have big businesses. These are guys that, like, there's a lot going on in their lives. And when we get stressed out, we start to stack things vertically, right? So like everything stacks right here, right above our head. Versus being able to stack it out horizontally, where it's like, okay, let me get off over this hurdle, then I can get to the next hurdle, then I can get to the next hurdle, right? Rather, we stack it vertically where it looks like this big wall that we'll never get over. And that's why we get overwhelmed and we burn out, right? So one of the exercises that I love having them do is when they get in that space, I'm like, okay, write down every single thing that is stressing you out right now. Every single thing. And they dump it onto a piece of paper. Okay, now get out a second piece of paper, and I want you to separate those things into 2 lists. Things I can control directly, like I physically, me, can control that. And then things that I can't control. And when they do it that way, you now start to see the difference, right? Like I'm stressed out about all these things, and only 30% of them are things that I can actually control. The other 70%, I'm just letting them take up energy and real estate in my head and attack my nervous system and all the other things that stress does to us. So then you have them rip that piece of paper in half and either light the uncontrollables on fire or throw them in the trash, depending on your environment, where you're at. Obviously, I'm not saying to give a 12-year-old a lighter and say, here you go. But, for an adult, I can tell them, go ahead and go out back and light that on fire. Throw it in the barbecue.
Get the carrots to the matchbox.
Yeah.
we're gonna burn some stress.
We're gonna burn some stress. No, but I think that it's a powerful exercise for us to kind of come back to reality, right? Of like, what are the things that I can control? And I fall victim to it. I'm sure you do too, man. Like we get obsessed with outcomes. We get obsessed with results. And it's like, dude, if you just handle the process, just handle the inputs. That's what I can control. Handle the inputs and manage as many variables as you possibly can, right? And then the rest of it, it is what it is. And I think, going off of that too is realizing, like, short of death, every failure that we have is purely psychological.
That's a fucking line.
I mean,
that's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, really think about that. Like, woo! I mean, until we hit the finish line, brother, like, you can make a comeback. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, dude, like, what are we talking about? What are we really stressed out about? Like, people ask me this about getting on stages. Like, they're like, do you get stressed out about going on stage? Listen, yeah. First off, yes, I do. Absolutely. Right. But right before I go on stage, I remind myself, it ain't that fucking deep. Like, I'm not going out there to perform open heart surgery in front of 1,000 people. I'm going out there to tell 1,000 people my opinions. Half of them are going to like it. Half of them are not going to like it.
Half are going to listen.
Yeah, half are going to listen. What do I care? You know what I mean? Like, but there's going to be 2 or 3 people maybe, and hopefully more, obviously. But there's going to be people that are going to take good away from it. So great. All right, let's go. Let's do it. I got to do it because it's good for humanity, right? But again, I think we get so obsessed with this idea of like what we can't control because we're so afraid of failure and we're so like, and it's like, what are you afraid of? So what? Yeah. You know what I mean? So what? Listen, I called the big man upstairs. He turns out he's not given extra credit for showing up to the pearly gates with a perfectly intact car with no scratches and no dents and no dents. Like, you know what I mean?
Yo, man said he don't care.
Yeah, like, doesn't care, bro. Doesn't care. Track some dirt on the floor and let it rip.
Yeah,
like,
it's all good, man.
Holy shit, you don't earn extra credit, man. There's no extra credit for doing it the hard way or the dumb way. Like, just go.
Fucking shoot your shot, man.
That's it.
Fuck, you're gonna strike out, man. Take a swing. Don't watch the ball cross the plate.
That's it. And be able to learn from it, right? Like, and say to yourself, like, okay, and this is again, high performance mentality. Like, the name of the podcast is Performance Matters. High performance mentality. Most people have no idea why they're winning or losing in life. They don't ever examine the inputs. They don't ever and it's mind boggling to me. Like, you were just saying, like, don't let the ball cross the plate. Okay, so if I miss the pitch, right, I'm going to analyze, why did I miss that pitch? Like, what did I do wrong? If I lose a business deal, I'm asking myself, what went wrong? I'm doing those after-action reviews, right? If we're winning, and that's when most people really don't analyze it, is when they're winning. Oh, yeah. It's like, what are the championship behaviors? What are the things that are driving you to win? Because if you can't repeat it, you're not actually winning. You're getting lucky repeatedly. That's all that's happening.
Yeah.
And eventually,
it's working. We don't know why, though.
Yeah, like, we're just gonna. This ain't blackjack, dude. You don't just let it ride. Like, that's not.
This is not scalable.
Yeah, this is not to scale. That is not a system, brother. Hope is not a strategy.
No.
Like, you got to sit down and figure out why.
Let's do it again.
Run it back.
Run it back. What did you do? I don't know, but just do that again. What was it? I don't know. Just do it again.
No, you're calling other teams asking if you can just play back-to-back games that night because you're playing well. I don't know what's going on. So let's get them all the way now.
You guys in town? Yeah, let's run it back.
Let's get it going tonight.
Holy fuck, man. No, that was dope shit. we're gonna wrap things up here. Is there any last piece of advice you would give to athletes when it comes to character, leadership, communication? Is there like some parting words? Maybe you spoke to the guy at the pearly gates, man. Maybe he had some.
No, brother. It's, you know what it is, man. It's be who you needed, right? Like when you were that young freshman, first year kid on the team, like be who you needed, man. Be the guy that's willing to ask a question. Be the guy that's willing to put a hand out and help somebody. Just that's really what it's all about, right? Like be who you needed. Like don't, you know what I mean? Nobody's special, brother. None of us are special. Just be who you needed.
Simple. Fucking simple.
That's it.
All right. If you want to reach out, talk to you, learn more about you, where can they find Coach Kitch?
Man, after this rant, nobody wants to talk to me.
Ah,
Like, he's out of his mind.
who the fuck's this asshole?
Yeah, this guy's a psychopath.
I didn't like anything this guy said. He hurt my feelings. This guy said if I'm not special, he said my feelings don't matter.
Yeah, you can reach me at safespace@gmail.com.
Performance matters. My feelings don't.
Yeah, no, I'm on all the social medias, man, at Coach D Kitch, or you can visit our website, edgeleadershipacademy.com.
Simple. All right, guys, make sure you guys follow Coach Kitch. If you have any questions, reach out to him. Visit his website. Tons of great resources for anyone looking to work on themselves and their leadership abilities in terms of communication and character. This is the Performance Matters Podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. So make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends. Maybe not this episode because Coach Kitch probably pissed off some people, but do it anyway because performance does matter, just not your feelings. That's a bar. All right, tuning out, guys. Till next time.